Hello children. Geography class 9 lesson 1, that is India size and location. I'm going to start the part 2. India and the world. The Indian landmass has a central location between the East and the West Asia. If we see the world map, then you'll observe that Indian landmass, it is in between this East and West Asia. That's why we can say centrally it is located. India is a southward extension of the Asian continent. So already I have told India, it is located in the southern part, means south of Asia. So southward extension, that's why it is told. The trans-Indian ocean routes which connect the countries of Europe in the west and the countries of East Asia provide a strategic central location to India. Usually, whatever the oceanic routes are there, which is connecting India, and it's very helpful for us to connect Europe in the west and the countries of East Asia because of its position. Now, you see, this is some one map which actually shows the Silk Route. Earlier, because of the trading purpose of the silk, these routes actually these were developed. And now you see India's position and the western side. You see through this Egypt and all European country plus eastern side China, then Southeast Asian those islands Java and all those Arabian countries. So all means if we see the position, the location of our country, then centrally our country is located, which is very important strategically for the development of the trade and for whatever the socioeconomic development it may occur because of the trade which was developed earlier due to the those trading partners with the western country, or you can say eastern part of the Asia also. So that is why you can say India's connection with the world, it is not new. From earlier times it was connected. And you see, the Deccan Peninsula protrudes into the Indian Ocean, thus helping India to establish close contact with West Asia, Africa, and Europe from the western coast and with Southeast and East Asia from the eastern coast. So, no other country has a long coastline on the Indian Ocean as India has, and indeed it is India's eminent position in the Indian Ocean which justifies the naming of the ocean after it. Here it is told that Deccan Peninsula. So I'm going the previous slide I'm showing again. Here you have seen India. So India's this part, southern part, we can say the peninsular part, which is protruding towards the south. Okay, and this Deccan Peninsula, what happened? Protrudes towards the Indian Ocean. The south of our country it lies Indian Ocean, and because of that, what happened? So those Western Asia or African or European countries from the western coastal side and the southeast or eastern Asia country from eastern coastal area we can connect. And first of all, our coastline, which is very long, and it also is helpful for the means trading purpose. It is very important. The coastal area, you know that one, because near the coastal area only so many ports, the seaports develop, and through that the through oceanic route, that means marine, the term we can say that one, marine contact which is possible. And you see this position, our country, and which is connected through oceanic route, through land route to different parts of the world. Because of the location of our country, it was very actually helpful for us from the earlier time. Now see, this is the coastal line from Gujarat towards south and again southeastern side, you see, up till West Bengal, which is a very long coastline and which is very beneficial for us for the development. Since the opening of the Suez Canal in 1869, India's distance from Europe has been reduced by almost 7,000 kilometer. You see, Suez Canal stretches 120 miles from Port Said on the Mediterranean Sea in Egypt southward to the city of Suez, located on the northern shores of the Gulf of Suez. There, this is the actual location of Suez Canal. It is given. So in 1869, this Suez Canal, man-made canal, it was opened. Earlier, those European countries they have traveled to our country through the Cape of Good Hope. That is from south of Africa. You see this one, this part. So earlier they have traveled so long distance to come to our country. But whenever the Suez Canal, this is the position of Suez Canal, it was open. It was becoming that much shortcut. Through this canal, the European countries, the European traders came to our country, and which reduced the distance. This is the Suez Canal again I'm showing. This is Mediterranean Sea, this part, and this is the Red Sea, and it is connected with the, you see, this is the Suez Canal. I'm showing the position where the triangle figure it is given here. And showing the location of the Port Said. This is the Port Said one picture it is given here. And Gulf of Suez, this some pictures I'm showing here of Suez Canal. This canal position is here. Suez Canal it is given here. India's contacts with the world have continued through ages, but her relationship through the land routes are much older than her maritime contact. That means through land earlier. That means the relationship it was developed with the outside the world. That means India's contact it was earlier only with the other countries of the world, and through the land route it was not like that. Means maritime contact started later on. Maritime means through sea or ocean. And the various passes across the mountains in the north have provided passages to the ancient travelers, while the oceans restricted such interaction for a long time. So passes were there, mountain passes. That means in between the valleys, some narrow corridor, which we can say as pass. So those passes also helped us for this contact, for the relationship with the other countries, and these routes have contributed in the exchange of ideas and commodities since ancient times. So not only commodities they have taken from us, or it was exchanged you can say, but the ideas also. That means we have got the idea from the western, whatever their ideas, or they have taken our ideas to their own country. So exchange of ideas also it took place. So land and sea route I am showing already. Again, this map I have shown. These are the different routes. Air routes means through sea or through land. The different route it was given here. Some mountain passes also I am showing. So many mountain passes are there. These are the pictures of the mountain passes. Major passes in north of our country. These are some passes. The ideas of the Upanishads and the Ramayana, the stories of Panchatantra, the Indian numerals, and the decimal system, thus could reach many parts of the world. You see, whenever the ideas, the exchange of ideas, it was taken place during that earlier times. It's the Upanishads, Ramayana, the story of Panchatantra, so those Indian numerals, the decimal system, everything they have taken us from us, and it has gone to many places of the world. And the spices, muslin, and other merchandise also were taken from India to different countries. So Britishers, all of you know, they have come to our country because of spices only. And on the other hand, the influence of the Greek sculpture and the architectural styles of domes and minarets from West Asia can be seen in different parts of our country. So we also have got the style, whatever the Greek style we have developed in our architecture. You see, these are the Upanishad, Panchatantra, Mahabharata, Ramayana. Okay, some pictures which is related to Ramayana and Mahabharata. And the Greek influence, how it took place in Indian art architect, you can say that one. And these are the spices, the muslin cloth I'm showing pictures. The Upanishads are actually the philosophical religious text of Hinduism. Just I'm giving one little bit idea. The two top epics of Hindus, all of you know, Ramayana and Mahabharata. And Panchatantra is an ancient Indian collection of interrelated animal fables in some small stories. In Sanskrit, it is written, verse and prose arranged within a frame story. And India's neighbors, next topic. India occupies an important strategic position in South Asia. Already we have discussed that the trading relation it happened with European country or Eastern uh, Asian country because of our location. That's why strategically our country is very important in South Asia. India has 28 states and 8 union territories. India shares its land boundaries with Pakistan and Afghanistan in the northwest, China, that Tibet area, that means Nepal and Bhutan in the north, and Myanmar and Bangladesh in the east. Our southern neighbors across the sea consist of two island countries, Sri Lanka and Maldives. I'm showing this is in India, the recent latest map. So earlier I have shown that our map, which where actually Jammu and Kashmir they have included this Pakistan occupied Kashmir also it was showing, but that map actually goes viral. It was wrong, and recently one map it was developed in 2020. We can say that is where Ladakh it is actually given here. See, this changes have taken place. This portion, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, actually it falls in Ladakh. Okay, so the changes are there. Okay, that Daman and Diu and Dadra and Nagar Haveli, so combined union territories also showing in this map is very important. Now you see Maldives here. This is the Maldives, the islands, and Sri Lanka. These are the island neighboring countries. So Union territories also I'm showing in this map separately. The 8 union territories. Now you have got in your book in the boxes you see there were two actually uh, provinces and princely states. These are before 1947. So these two types of states it was there in our country, the British, that Indian provinces and princely states. Now, British Indian provinces means the British Indian provinces were directly under the control of the British government. But princely states, several large and small states ruled by princes, called the princely states, enjoyed some form of control over their internal affairs as long as they accepted British supremacy. So, princely states covered one third of the land area of the British Indian Empire. Just the differences I am showing. Sri Lanka is separated from India by a narrow channel, that is Park Strait, on the Gulf of Mannar, while Maldives Islands are situated to the south of the Lakshadweep Islands. Already I have shown this too. India has had strong geographical and historical links with her neighbors, so those neighboring countries. There is a relationship. Gulf of Mannar actually is a large shallow bay. You have got Bay of Bengal, but it is also it's like a bay, but it's shallow bay. It is forming part of the Lakshadweep Sea in the Indian Ocean with the least depth of 5.8 meter, and it lies between the west coast of Sri Lanka and the southeastern tip of India in the Coromandel Coast region. Just for your extra knowledge, I'm giving this one where is actually Gulf of Mannar that I'm showing. This is the Park Strait here, which actually separates two. Actually, you cannot separate. It combines. It connects two large water bodies. It's a narrow water body, and a strait is a naturally formed, narrow, typically navigable waterway. That means through that waterway, and the ships also can travel. That connects to larger bodies of water. Most commonly, it is a channel of water that lies between two land masses. The Park Strait is a strait between the Tamil Nadu state of India and Jaffna district of northern province of the island nation of Sri Lanka. It connects the Bay of Bengal in the northeast with Park Bay in the southwest with a minimum depth of less than 9.1 meter. It is 40 to 85 miles wide and 85 miles long. Gulf of Mannar, I'm showing the location. This is the Gulf of Mannar. This is the one you see some picture of Gulf of Mannar. A gulf is a large inlet from the ocean into the landmass, typically with a narrower opening than a bay. So bay is larger than gulf, and though this is not observable in the all geographical areas so named, the term gulf was traditionally used for large, highly indented, navigable bodies of salt water which are enclosed by the coastline. A bay is a recessed or attached coastal body of water that directly connects to a larger main body of water. I'm showing a picture of Gulf. This is strait. The middle picture strait here. This Park Strait I'm showing, and Bay of Bengal I'm showing. So what is the difference between Gulf and strait? Gulf is a deep inlet of the sea surrounded by land with a narrow mouth, while a strait is a narrow waterway that connects two large water bodies. Most commonly, it is a channel of water that lies between two landmasses, and this is the main difference between Gulf and strait. Strait, Gulf, and Bay, these three terms. A strait is a narrow passage between land masses that connects two bodies of water. So, by definition, all mouths of gulfs are straits. Gulf is a large body of water that penetrates forcefully enters the land. Bay is a body of water that is partially surrounded by land. So these are the some information I'm giving. So extra information is actually not so important, but for your extra knowledge I'm giving. Okay, thanks for watching.